接下来我们请东南大学法学院教授、东南大学人权研究中心专职研究员贺碧德教授发言。题目是“人权在你比马套上相乘之前，要小心脚下的路，寻找未来的全球人权议程”。大家欢迎。
Well, thank you very much. And I have a Chinese name, but I cannot speak Chinese. I really want to thank you for the opportunity to be here, not least because I'm coming from one of these regions that have been, I think, rightfully blamed before to use human rights as a conflict field rather than a field of cooperation. Now, having said this, I think at the same time, the human rights issue is one of context. We do not have, actually, there I follow something Karl Marx said, we do not have a clear understanding, we cannot have a clear understanding of what human rights are. It had been said in the previous contribution, it is about differences, it is about different backgrounds, it is about different contexts. So if we go for a not formal approach to understand human rights, we have to think about the struggle of law as Gehring, a famous lawyer, said. So there are three main issues that I will come to at the end in terms of the practical relevance. That is the issue of governance, new network societies. That is something on new boundaries, new understanding of citizenship, and it is about ecology. And this brings me to this point. We have to discuss, I think, human rights against the background of what do we want to achieve with them. It is not about humans as such, but it is about the society we live in and the society we want to come to. They said, Gehring, to quote him, the end of the law is peace. The means to that end is war. So long as we have law, is compelled to hold itself in readiness to resist the attacks of wrong. And this will be compelled to do until the end of the time. So it is this conflict of to do wrong, to do good, and to find a way of where we want to go with it. And it is about law, and it is about especially human rights law. And as I said, I contest this idea of there is something as human rights in general. And this is a conflict we face today in my interpretation. We have the conflict between, on the one hand, highly individualist approaches to what human rights is. It is about the individual, and of course not only in terms of human rights, but in terms of society. Everything for the individual is good, and nothing else is relevant. And then we have the other opposition, or the opposite position. It is about society. What kind of society do we want to have, and what role, of course, then plays the individual in this. And then we have this in terms of legal approaches. We have a highly or strong, solely positive approach to law, and we do not have any understanding in the wider sense of an interpretative framework, what law can serve, how law can be used. This, I think, is on the global level a major, or these are two major conflict lines, and this is what we have to look at as well. And then I come to something completely different, physics. I was recently stumbling upon quantum theory, and they are not, as far as I understand, I have to admit I don't understand it completely, they do not have a clear understanding of strictly firm boxes. They have an understanding of permanently moving matter. Matter actually doesn't exist as such, but matter is a matter of movement, of restructuring, of finding a place. So I spare the quote, you should have it in the paper that is published. And in this sense, I think we have to rethink human rights as well as a matter of it is not fixed, it is not given by something that is in a very valuable, without doubt, in a very valuable way written down in the Universal Declaration, but it is a matter of negotiating society. Vazak came up with 3 generations of human rights, and I want, possibly provocative, say we need a 4th generation. We need a 4th generation in terms of human rights is about society. To provide a society that makes it possible to permanently re-establish itself, of course, with respect for the individuals, but not focusing on the individual, not focusing on the self-realization of individuals without considering the price, but in terms of considering how can we establish a society that does without allowing for private weapons, for instance. And this is something where I come to this point of governance, to keep it short, that we have a negotiation there, we do not have a fixed government anymore, and we have a restructuration process there, looking for new ways of governance, looking for new ways of government as well, and looking for new ways of responsibility. Where is this going? I'm simply asking this, where is it going if we do not have something that can be still called democratic control by states? Now, the question of how democratic these states are is something that has to be clarified in the individual cases, but it is something of giving power away to unauthorized, legitimate bodies is something I think we have to consider as well in human rights debates. Then I said another point in this respect is network societies. We have permanently changing networks, permanently changing relations where people, individuals and groups constitute themselves in changing conditions, and we are facing the fact that societies still exist, even if we complain about individualism or something like this, but this is the question, how do they exist and where do we want to go with it? Looking at the internet, the net, there is exactly this point that we have different options. And this is something we have. It is not given by technology. And this is again the question of the first part actually, that we have to take responsibility, whoever this we exactly is, how to shape it. And the most pressing possibly, or at the first sight, most pressing instance is the ecology. This question is bothering us all, if we admit it or if we don't. But this is a permanent threat, and we have now discussions on ecocide, meaning genocide in terms of ecology, and we have to accept responsibility there. Who does it? How do we do it? How do we consider this as a matter of human rights? And then if we come to the developing, so-called developing, non-developing or developed countries, we have the strange, at first sight at least, the strange appearance that it is the industrial world that does more harm than supposedly the still developing world. Something to be developed, something to be developed, and I think we have to think about this in the context of human rights. Thank you.